like a little bit, I don't know, scary. You know what the really scary thing? It kind of sucks.
Hold on, you're like hardcore. Like chances are, when she said hi at that party, it wasn't some weird underhanded way to like f them. She was probably just saying hi.
Okay.
Did you say anything about like the lab leak theory stuff?
You know what it is? Any issue now just has to be politicized.
Yeah,
There's
every
nothing,
single
like,
thing. Then
anything.
nothing. Yeah, like it'll be like, oh, like should I?
What do you think's gonna happen to Twitter? This anti-Jew shit is getting, I think, maybe a little bit scary. A little bit, not like super scary yet, but like it's kind of like maybe you could picture, let's say Republicans win the House and the Senate, and then in 2 years they get the presidency. Like you could picture like.
If it makes you feel better for like older people and mainstream Republicans, like Israel is still like #1. Like there's no question about it. It's younger people and minorities that don't like Jewish people.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like most super Christian people, don't they like Israel? I think they still hate Jews.
They love Israel.
They
no,
love
no,
Israel,
no.
but
They love
hate
Jewish
Jews,
people,
right?
and they love it.
Really?
Remember, one of the few things he did foreign policy-wise was moving the embassy to Jerusalem. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the logic behind that? Like, so as to indicate like the Jews have this.
Jerusalem is our shit. Get the fuck out of here, you Palestinians. Sheikh Jarrah belongs to us.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is definitely like a little bit creepy. Like
it's like a little bit, I don't know, scary. You know what the really scary thing? It kind of sucks, but like you find just like a random Reddit post being like, "Oh, Kanye just held up his phone with a list of like Jews
from 4chan."
yeah, right. No, but like when you go read the comments, you're not on the 4chan Reddit, or you're just in like news or something, and like you see like upvoted threads is like, yeah, that's true. I don't know why we're lambasting the guy for telling something that's true, and it's like the shit he's holding up isn't even true either. I saw that Avi something or other guy went over and like half of the shit he says, like they're either not Jewish or they're not owners or that's not who owns the company. It's just like
it's like this guy was like the COO like 17 years ago of like a company that was acquired by them, and they're like, oh, that's the owner. Yeah, dumb shit like that. I think also the problem is that like I think that a lot of the rhetoric around a lot of like this stuff has just been so bad for so long that it becomes easy to kind of get lost in the sauce. So for instance, like if we say that like white supremacy is really bad because white people are majority power holders in society, and we can say white people, the Mayo side, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, you can take that same kind of ideology and turn it on to Jewish people who are also like majority power holders and shit. And then you amplify that with like the Israel-Palestine stuff. It becomes pretty easy to get like a group of young people to like, yeah, actually, yeah, you know what? Fuck Jews. 100%. Actually, yeah, yes. And it's like, okay, well, that's probably not good. Yeah.
The again, that Avi guy on his thread, one thing he said that was interesting, and again, I'm not.
Are you talking about Dr. Avi, the Jewish dude? No, not Jewish dude, the vegan dude. Oh no, is he? I gotta check.
With the name of Avi, I'm highly saying yes on that. But anyways,
okay.
In his thread that he did, he said the explanation for so many Jews in media is that even though Jews are 2% of the U.S. population, they're very concentrated only in certain areas, which are big cities. So like they're only in L.A., they're only in New York and Miami and Boston. Like that's where like all of them are for the most part. And then when you look into those cities and you say, okay, if Jews typically have this level of success, you should expect that they're going to be working in the industries that are local to them. Like no one complains when Irish people are police officers or Italians are working construction and dominating that industry. So it was like it's not disproportionate, right? Like so, I guess if you look in LA, what percent of LA
it is going to
Jewish?
be it will be disproportionate. That's
it's based off of, I guess he said, the IQ of the average person living.
Sure, but I'm saying like
cities.
that thing that you just said is also like kind of true of like black people, right? In the United States, like black people are also concentrated highly in cities and whatnot, but they're not running the media or the banks, you know.
So if you look at the history of news and media, it's actually kind of interesting. Most of the founding people for the original studios, like MGM and stuff like that, were Jewish, but they came from trades that were very sort of, I guess you would say, peripheral to the entertainment industry. highly involved in vaudeville, and the other big industry they were involved in was clothing and fashion, and that helped a lot of the salesmanship when you had to go around to each individual theater back in the day and sell your movies, as
Nice.
well as providing things like the costuming and, you know, also the construction work and the financing for these movies, because they already had those connections working in an industry that was already involved in entertainment and, you know, already having that vaudeville background.
Okay.
Right.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep.
What else is happening in Cat Town? So, I was just thinking about that, I guess, a little bit, and
Kind of sounds like you're trying to convince yourself, Dan.
convince myself of what specifically.
You're like a Jewish guy, like Googling, like, why the f are there so many of us in these industries? I've got to find a way to explain this. It doesn't make any sense.
No, well, yeah, I don't know.
You're
Well,
like
the only thing
your search history like ends up looking like basically a Nazi search history. You're like,
Yeah,
why
like,
Jewish people control big banks plus media plus Federal Reserve? Question mark. Why Israel so much influence over both political parties? USA. You're like, okay, there's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
Oh no,
It's,
he's getting JQ'd.
it's just I keep standing by this. Like, maybe maybe just Jews are really good at f***ing Hollywood shit. I wouldn't do that, but I will never ever believe for a second that there's any cabal among these motherfuckers. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if there is, I haven't been invited. I'll say that. That's at least that I can go that far to say that, right? Like, if they are all conspiring with each other. Like, hey, Moishe, you want to come over today? And how can we screw over the Christian guy working at level 614? I'm not being invited to those things.
The reality is that like I say this a lot when I deal with personal matters, especially stuff related to drama. I say drama for a shortcut for like interpersonal like things. One thing you have to be really careful of is that if you convince yourself that there is a conspiracy, it becomes very, very, very easy to retrofit stuff to fit in a certain manner. So like whenever somebody thinks like, oh my God, like I think she like did this thing, and then people will start saying like, oh yeah, when I started that party, she was doing that, or when they were doing it, and eventually I'll tell somebody like takes it back, it's like, okay, hold on, you're like hardcore. Like chances are when she said hi at that party, it wasn't some weird underhanded way to like f them. She was probably just saying hi. But it becomes so easy when you're like bought into a certain like conspiracy or idea that you're going to start to retroactively see everything, you know? Whereas on the flip side, there's a lot of easy stuff that just kind of like makes sense if you like back up and take another look at it. So for instance, for Jewish people, right? Like Jewish people all seem to be really invested in like the destruction of the white race through like immigration and progressivism, et cetera, et cetera. Like that's a take that you might believe, and then you can go through like Jewish people's voting habits, the organizations and charities they're a part of, et cetera, et cetera. And you can actually find a ton of data to support that. And it becomes easy to kind of think that like, okay, holy shit, maybe there is something to this like Jewish people trying to get rid of white people thing. Or you could just back up and you go, okay, well, Jewish people have a certain culture where they super value education. Jewish people are super overrepresented in a lot of higher education. A lot of people that are educated and wealthy tend to be like liberal / progressive. And then that actually explains like a ton of the voting habits as well. It's like, okay, well, that makes just as much sense as the other conspiracy theory, and I don't need any type of like conspiracy to explain that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there is still, I would say for sure, Jewish people probably, I don't even think that they vote differently than people in the location where Jews are. So 30% of Jews voted for Trump. Okay.
Really?
But if you consider, 30%.
Jesus. Okay, I didn't know that.
In 2020, and if you consider that Jews probably almost, I don't know the percentage. I want to say like 90% of Jews probably live in major cities. Mm-hmm. You would expect that even to be not that case. You would expect it to be like 90%, and it's not the case. So I would say that Jews on a whole, I don't want to say are more conservative, but are certainly more, like there was a reason that they were aligned with Trump, and I think that's probably a mix of fiscal issues, but also Trump's like kind of at least stated support for Israel and shit like that at that time. But yeah, 30% of Jews voted for Trump. Even though probably, as I said, the vast majority of Jews lived in metropolitan areas where you would expect to be 90% Democrat or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, voting Jews or 30% of all Jewish people in the U.S.? Oh, sorry, Shenzhen. I meant all Jews because I mind raped them to find out how they would vote in the election. So that's why I was including them there. So.
Well, it could have been polling data or survey data versus like actual.
Well, I said how they voted, 30%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you see? Oh, fuck. I thought I was gonna have to deal with a bunch of dumb shit, but now I realize I have to deal with a bunch of even dumber shit.
Okay.
Did you see anything about like the lab leak theory stuff?
I saw the article, but I didn't read through it, and it was on Vanity Fair, right?
Yeah, apparently there's like a Senate statement or whatever that like conclusively says that like, okay, definitely lab leak.
I don't know. Like, here's the thing. I never really cared that much. Like, that is totally reasonable to expect it could have been a lab leak.
Yeah, it definitely could have been, but the weird stuff happens when it's like, well, what kind of research do we fund? Was it intentional? Like, that's the thing. If you guys see people quoting that article and you see like conservatives, like, I highly recommend reading that article. I actually cannot believe how much of a nothing burger that article is. And after reading through it, I actually feel even more strong now that it almost for sure came from those wet markets. I didn't realize too, but there also been there was one other big study that like started comparing a whole bunch of like DNA samples from people that got sick or whatever, and it's like it is. I'll always say it's possible that it didn't come from the wet market, but there's like very, very, very high like certainty reasons to believe that it almost certainly did. But yeah, that article was such a nothing burger, and the headlines, the way that they stated it, was insane.
Did China benefit more than we did from the coronavirus? Meaning, like, if China could go back and somehow make the coronavirus not happen, would they have been better off or worse off? Right? Because it did fuck the U.S. a lot, but I wonder if it fucked China.
I feel like
more.
China got fucked really hard. Like, aren't they still doing insane lockdowns and shit over it?
Yeah, and why? I mean,
probably because if I had to guess, it's like super ultra high population density.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're still doing like insane.
How is the current? What is the current variant we have? It's some like Omicron level 6 shit or whatever now?
I don't know, but I will tell fucking liberals need to stop being fucking cringe about it. Holy shit.
This shit, I don't even know. You know what it is? Any issue now just has to be politicized.
Yeah, every single thing. There's nothing. Yeah. Like, it'll be like, oh, like, should I... Yeah, I was going to say styrofoam cups as an example, but it'll be like, yeah, like, I want to buy some product. Like, well, what did the CEO tweet about? Like, is the My Pillows guy, like, an ardent Trump supporter? Is he going to be there at the next January 6th rally? Or, like... Oh my god. Destiny should take. I'm not scared, but I'm pretty much always wearing a mask in large events. You have the freedom and right to wear a mask. That's fine. But like, I don't think we have like I think that during the coronavirus pandemic, I think that it was good to enact public safety measures to reduce the spread of a virus that had the most infectious virus in the history of the world. I think that's totally fine. But at some point, like, we kind of have to go back to normal. We're not going to be wearing masks and doing all this shit for ever. It's so stupid.
Also, I think it was a different time then versus now. Like, we were completely unprepared with respirators and
it was more deadly
PPE and everything.
And it was. People keep trying to downplay. Oh, the fatality rate. No, that. It was literally the most infectious virus in the history of the entire planet. Okay, so
and we weren't. And the big thing is we weren't prepared. Like, that's why. That's what even made it more deadly. Is we just didn't have respirators, and it required that. But now we do. I assume we do.
Well, and there's the current iterations aren't as deadly. So, like, just chill.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, it sounds very ignorant, but, like, how many people are currently dying from coronavirus?
I think you can always check.
Right?
The Worldometer site or whatever.
Let's see. Coronavirus stats.
And nothing has changed, and now it's fine. That's not true. Things have changed. 1, a lot more people are fucking vaccinated. 2, a lot more people have been infected. And 3, the current iterations of the virus are a lot less deadly. So things have changed. What do you mean nothing has changed? Somebody in chat said it correctly. That is actually true. The number one symptom of the COVID-19 bullshit is the brain rot that it caused. So everybody involved. I want to know what the is going on in all these weak conservative bodies that their doctors are like, oh no, we heavily advise against you getting the vaccine. Bullshit. I almost called that woman out, but I didn't want to fight because fighting over medical shit is always cringe because you can never prove it. But she was like, oh, I had a conversation with my doctor and they advised me not to get the vaccine. Bullshit. No shot. It was with one of your holistic doctors. It's a vaccine. You poke yourself, you feel a little shitty for one day and you're done. It's like every vaccination bullshit that we've done in the history of all vaccines. You get a shot, it sucks for a little bit, and then you're better. Jesus Christ. This idea that it's like this unprecedented, like 5G carrying, like magnetizing your brain and rotting you from the inside out bullshit is so fucking cringe. Oh my God.
So for the last 6 months, deaths have been pretty stable. at around 500 per day
Nice. In the U.S.
for the in the U.S. Yeah. Or sorry, wait, no. Yeah. 500
Not just
a day.
vaccines, but 10 boosters, though. Guess what else has had a booster every single new fucking season, my friend? It's the flu. The flu has had boosters every single season. And guess what? Even more of a conspiracy. Your flu shots don't even work after a year because the virus has mutated so much that they basically become irrelevant. So, wow. Flu vaccines have also been a conspiracy the whole time.
Is there anything that could it wouldn't be politicized if it's like stop pedophiles bill? I feel like
Progressives would say it targets trans people because of the groomer shit, probably.
Yeah, Republicans would. I don't know. It's just whole.
Everything is so stupid. Yeah.
There's no bill you could do. Like save trees. Like, oh, that's hurting industry. Or I don't fucking clean water. Oh, that's going to slow down industry.
Well, Democrats, we couldn't even get Republicans on board with a bill to codify gay marriage. It was just there's just nothing.
Yeah. It's just so fucking hopeless, man. It sucks, but yeah, there's nothing to do there. I think it's just the whole thing. The situation is just.
It's just so
out of
irritating. I
control.
just can't. I'm just disappointed that anti-vaxxing became a thing again. That I wouldn't have been able to call that. Even as stupid as I know that Republicans are historically fucking retards, and it's that's fine. That's I accept that. I love them. They're my people from Omaha. You guys just hate education and college, and whatever. It's cool. At least they can fight on social issues and whatnot. But I understand that you're never gonna have a good take on anything science related because that's just not the domain of Republicans. But to unironically become anti-vax is so fucking cringe.
It was never there was never. Well, I guess we never had a real vaccine push for anything.
No, because we've probably been overdue for pandemic related stuff.
You know what would have been the dream? I wonder, what about if Trump literally created the vaccine? He was a fucking...
researcher?
Yeah, he was a researcher, and he created the vaccine, and every Republican was, thanking him. I still think Republicans would be against taking it, actually.
No, the other world that I wanted, that we never will get to see, was the world where Trump won re-election. Because in that world, Republicans are talking about cutting-edge, capitalistically ran medical firms that were able to beat the pandemic and do a cutting-edge vaccine with state-of-the-art technology, working with capitalist firms all over the world to create a vaccine to protect Americans, and then to ship that out and protect the rest of the world. It justifies capitalism, it justifies U.S. hegemony, it justifies our trading with everybody and being a friend with everybody and how good America is for the state. It literally is it is the number one conservative victory story of capitalism and American engineering ever. But because Trump lost, now it's a Democrat thing and they'll fucking hate it. If Trump would have won 100%, that is how every single Republican would have played off that vaccine.
What do you think? So Elon owns Twitter, and obviously
why hasn't there been a
Elon is
vaccine
never
for other
getting banned.
coronaviruses?
I think that should go without saying on Twitter. So what do we think is going to happen with? I assume Trump will get unbanned. I assume that there will be a fucking catastrophic dig-like moment where people, I assume, leave Twitter. I don't know. Dig, the reason that all went to shit is that the site kind of became less useful. I guess I'm just asking, what do you think is going to happen to Twitter? If you had to guess coming up here, give me the 6 month and the 3 month overview.
It's going to depend on how active Elon actually is and everything. If I had to guess, he's kind of sort of proving me wrong so far. I hope he continues to prove me wrong. But if I had to guess, they're just going to unban a couple of big celeb accounts. And then nothing much is really going to change. He's going to come in saying that we need to change our moderation all this way and that way and blah, blah, blah. But then he's going to realize that he's going to lose a ton of money if he does that. And then, they're going to slowly roll back those policies or something. Because as soon as advertisers run away, that company's going to get right? Twitter, I think, is still losing money, so.
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see Elon posted today that he thought why would he tweet this? What is he thinking?
The gay lover for...
yeah. Bro, you're... that's insane.
He's not very politically savvy. He's not a very savvy person at all. I think he's a decent investor. I think a decent engineer, but politics is not his strong suit. He's like Jordan Peterson. He does one or two things well, and now he thinks he's an expert at everything. Please review the article. It's something bad. I might today. I read most of it yesterday. I was really shocked because I was kind of thinking like, oh boy, like here are the new talking points. Like, it could be lab leak. I've always said it's still possible if new evidence is out. But yeah, it was a dog shit article. But the article itself was kind of dog shit. But the worst thing was the tweet that they put out for it. Oh my god, conclusively proves lab leak. No, what? It's dumb. But nobody that tweets about that article or references it will read it. So I mean, who cares?
Anything new happening in the subreddit?
No, I need to enforce better rules. You guys make way too many threads, and you're way too mean. I'm gonna start like perma-banning people. We're gonna go on another big purge soon.
I think there needs to be a complete ban on Lav and Mr. Girl and...
No, I just need people to make, like, it's gotta be limited to, like, 1 thread per day. And people need to, like, not,
There's, like, 20... It's a lot, you know?
Yeah, I wonder if...
It's a lot.
I wonder if Forethought's been removing some. Yeah, another lab, like, chill. Oh, my God.
So there's 8 Lav threads and 5 Mr. Girl threads.
Yeah, like, just, like, make 1 thread and, like, talk there, guys.
It's gonna be like the Wall Street Bets, like daily thoughts at the top. What are you trading today? 10:30:22. Instead, it's gonna be like, Mr. Girl, what's happening today?
Based. Do you think this graph would be more meaningful if there was like a I think somebody recommended using like a derivative instead of just charting actual time? Because this graph feels really worthless. Or I can explain to you why. Like I think it's not a good graph. Sorry, what's up?
I think something that would look better, which would be kind of like a both lines, like either talking or not talking, and then you could see the gaps, and then like make your own inference, I guess, from that. Maybe.
Well, here's the issue with using this type of graph. Okay, instead of using maybe instead of using like a derivative or something. Hold on. The problem is that
well, what are we trying to convey? Obviously, we're trying.
What you're trying to convey is the difference in speaking time. Who's speaking a lot more, right? But
here's
the issue. Okay, let's say that we do a debate, and let's say in the beginning of the debate, somebody speaks quite a bit more than the other person, and then after that, the speaking time is identical, right?
Yeah, so it should be like on and off, and you have 2 lines instead of like
Like if I show a graph like this, well, in here it kind of looks like, oh my God, the guy on top has spoken so much more. But that's not true. He spoke a lot in the beginning, but that's it. But then so like let's say somebody does this, they do this, and then it's like this, okay? And then let's say that the other person is like this. For here, it kind of looks like, oh my God, it seems like they spoke for about the same amount of time. The other guy caught up at the end. But what's really happening is this guy spoke a lot in the beginning, and then for the entire rest of the debate, this guy was speaking way more. That's how he was able to catch up. That's why I feel like looking at like a rate of change or something might be better than just looking at the total talk time, because I don't know if it conveys the same. Or maybe yeah, I don't know. Just at a glance, it's a bit deceiving, I guess. Yeah.
No, it is. I think over time, what you want to see is like how often both people are talking.
Yeah, kind of. Or I don't know if a derivative would be good for that. I don't know if it would, but yeah.
What man, we should put a thread up. Chat, first off, I'm curious if people here watch podcasts or listen to them, but how many of them are structured? I guess, right? Where they're like, okay, the first 15 minutes we're going over the Reddit or whatever, and then the next 20 minutes we're talking with a guest, and then 15 minutes after that we're doing, the Daily Jinx section or whatever it is. I don't know. But is there like, what type of format do those types of things have? Like, or is it just, I don't even know, is the Joe Rogan Experience, does that have a format, or is it just like an hour of fucking asking questions to the guy and having a conversation?
I don't think the Joe Rogan one is formatted now.
The good ones are structured. That was my thought as well, is that like there's probably like a good idea to be found on some of these podcasts out there where they give a certain amount of time at the start for, whatever, and then after that they move into this, and then I don't know, it can be stupid shit, but yeah. All podcasts are formatted, but few are scripted. Yeah, that's too bad. There's a lot of good scripting ideas.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sponsors, news, viewer questions. Yeah. Oh, man.
I unbanned Mr. Girl from the subreddit last night. What do you think's gonna happen?
Nothing, because I'm pretty sure the junior moderators we have will ban them instantly over and over and over again. At least that's what they're threatening to do. So I guess we'll.
Oh, Forethought said he made it impossible for him to get shot.
Oh. Okay. Well, what do I think will happen? Well, I covered this before. I think there's only two options. Either he's gonna not come back, or he'll kind of. Well, I guess that's obvious. He'll come back, or he won't. But he needs to come up with a good. He needs to come up with a good reason to come back. Like for someone who really says, like, "Hey, I stick to my morals. They're everything." Not my morals, but like what I say is what I'm going to do. I feel like if he was just to come back without a good reason, people are like, "Oh, so you're back. So what you said didn't mean anything," and that would be very not in line with the stuff he preaches, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Do you look back fondly on high school or no?
Well, I dropped out of high school. So
wait, how did you drop out of high school? Explain what that process was like. Were you like 17, 18?
I was 16.
16. Don't you have to go to school? Is it right until you're 16 or?
No, you can go. You can drop out earlier. You just say that you're gonna do homeschooling.
Your parents were okay with that?
Well, I was a fucking shit show. They were just like, "Okay, you need to get out of the house," and I did.
What was the first place you moved to?
Some like fucking scuffed ass apartment in like a farm town.
How did you afford it?
My parents were helping initially.
Okay.
And then I got a job working at a convenience store, and then I worked at Dunkin' Donuts. Oh wait, no, Dunkin' Donuts was before that. I worked at a convenience store. I was a telemarketer for a little bit. What else did I do? Convenience store, telemarketer. I know I had other jobs, but fuck me, I can't remember them. Yeah. Man, the telemarketer shit. Oh, I worked at a factory for a very short period, like 2 months maybe.
What kind of factory?
It was called Universal Tube. They made fucking tubes. And that was literally my job. I took the tubes from this place and moved them to that place, and I did that for 12-hour shifts every day. Okay. Well, 4 days a week or something. Yeah.
Tube and Dan.
And that was it. Yeah, well, listen, there's a lot of... My life is dope now, but it was not dope back then, in the words of Kanye. I delivered appliances. Yes, I delivered furniture right after I got out of the Coast Guard. Worked for some fucking shitty furniture store in New Orleans. And I had a Dodge Dakota pickup truck. And I worked by myself, and people would like buy a couch, and I would have to like, I guess I would take someone sometimes. I must have, because I couldn't. It's not like I could move it all by myself every time. But I moved it. God, I was fit back then. I was thick. Ah, man, that was a strapping young Dan back in those days. I'll tell you what. I was taking furniture up 3 flights of steps, no problem. Having a fucking pack of cigarettes afterwards too, no big deal. Yeah.
Why did you quit smoking?
Smoking is not good.
Yeah, obviously, but you were smoking at one point in time. I'm curious why you quit.
For, I think from when I was 18 until I was, I want to say like 22, maybe, or 23 at the most.
What was the drive to quit, though? Yeah.
Well, like, you don't. Sometimes, everyone who smokes tries to quit a few times, and it's only when you quit that you realize. First off, you smell like shit all the time, like really, really bad when you smoke. And people who smoke don't recognize that they smell really bad, but you do. You smell so fucking bad. I
don't know why this is a thing, or maybe this is just all in my head, but like weed smoke smells stronger. But when you're done smoking weed, it goes away after like a day or two. Even for people that smoke all the time. But dude, cigarette smoke like fucking gets into everything. Like somebody could get on my car in a new set of clothes right out of the washer dryer. They get in my car, I'm like, bro, you are a smoker. I haven't had the feeling in a long time because people don't. But oh my god, dude, I don't know what it is, but cigarette smoke is like so like ugh.
Yeah, it really smells bad. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if you're a smoker, maybe you're even listening to me, right? Like, yeah, it smells bad, but whatever. You don't understand that, like, non-smokers, when you walk around them, like we smell you and we think like I guess the vibe that you get when you smell a smoker is that this is like a poor white trash person. That's like the real vibe of honestly that you get of people who smoke in 2022 for sure.
Did you have the experience when you went to Europe on vacation where someone next to you starts smoking?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's especially in Paris.
Yeah,
crazy.
Well, it's always crazy when I go to Europe and I just I just get this feeling of like 2005, and I'm like, and I look around like, oh, there's someone out here smoking. How weird. I haven't seen that in so long. That's like, I wish that needs to be studied. I don't know how the United States like fucking deleted smoking from our culture in like 10 years.
China is really really bad at that too. China, and I don't think Japan, but China is fucking really bad. Yeah. Like when I was in Hong Kong, everyone smokes fucking everywhere. Anyways, so with smoking, you will smell super bad. And you won't know, and you'll think, it's just people deal with it. No, you smell like shit, and when you go and make that first impression, your breath smells bad, but you smell bad, like from a few feet away, like just bad, not like whatever. And it's like a poor, like, grandmother that's about to die, but she's only 62 years old, and she lives in a trailer. That's the vibe that you give and the smell that you have when you smoke. So that's the first reason that I quit, is I recognize that smell, like, ooh, this is not good. Then the second thing is that it really does turn your fucking teeth and everything around you yellow. Like pretty bad. Third thing is that it's kind of disgusting, I guess, a little bit. Like, and what I mean by that is like you have ashtrays everywhere. You're coughing up a fucking storm. You're typically gonna wake up feeling like shit. Oh, dude,
that senior citizen smoker's cough that my grandma. Dude, I remember hearing that every fucking day. Oh, and I could even tell. Right as soon as the first cough happened, I knew how many times she was a cough, how long she lasted for. Every time, I got so used to hearing it. Oh my god, yikes!
And then, maybe I can. I don't know. I feel like maybe I can convert someone here. I'll try it. So, I quit cold turkey because there wasn't vaping back then, and I didn't smoke ever again after that. But I did take up vaping. Maybe 5 years after I was completely smoke-free, which wasn't smart, but it's not as bad for you. So I would stress this for people who are currently smoking. Vaping will give you the same sensation, for sure. You may have tried it before, but you probably have not tried the correct way of vaping to get up of smoking. So you may have like been in a situation where you're like, fuck, I need to smoke. Let me get one of those like pseudo looking cigarettes from the gas station. It's not the right way to do it. You should make a real effort to go to a vape store and try to get a decent setup that's going to give you a similar buzz to what you have right now. And give it a week. Force yourself. You're not going to be craving or fucking dying. It may not be as nice. It may not be like the going outside and like lighting up and chilling for a few minutes and coming back in, but you will get used to it. And then the best part of it is that you're not going to smell like shit anymore. It's definitely better for you. I can say this without a doubt. I have no doubt in my mind that vaping is 100% better for you than smoking.
Probably. The only worry now, though, is that you're gonna have a lot of people vaping.
Well, I'm only talking right now to the cigarette smokers in chat.
No, I know, but there's like an epidemic now where there's a whole bunch. Like for the first time ever, the amount of smokers has gone up too. I think because so many people are getting into vaping and now they're going from vaping to smoking and shit. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you can try to be smart about it. So like, don't buy like how on Amazon, whenever you buy anything,
there's
like the name of the brand is
like Zing Zang version or whatever.
Well, no. Every product you're buying on Amazon now, the name of the brand is like, Donoju, and it's like, what the fuck is this? and it's just like some like make sure you're not buying a brand like that.
Drop shipping you.
Yeah, exactly. Just buy when there's like a few reputable brands that you can buy your equipment from, and then do that, and then go online and buy your vape juice, if you will. There's a few places that have like, you can see everything in it. But if you get the right stuff, there's only really going to be 3 ingredients in it. You're going to have, well, or 4, it depends. So you're going to have vegetable glycerin, and you're going to have propylene glycol, and both of those things are pretty similar, by the way. So you have those 2 things. Then you're going to have nicotine, which is just it's not an element, but it's a chemical compound. It just is nicotine. And nicotine is very similar to caffeine. There's not a lot of harm, in my opinion, from the reading I've done that comes from nicotine. It's going to certainly raise your heart rate. It's going to increase your blood pressure. But nicotine itself is not what kills you from smoking cigarettes. It is all the other aspects of doing that. Don't get me wrong, it's probably not good to raise your blood pressure and your heart rate. And there's probably some other effects, but it's not that killer. And then the 4th thing is going to be flavoring. So you should make an effort to find vape juice companies that are pretty keeping ingredients minimal, look like they're made in the United States, look like they're taking things seriously. I think there's one called Naked. The one I used to do back in the day was called Velvet Cloud. That's what I used to do because it was just vegetable glycerin and nicotine, and that was it. Or, and flavoring as well. Mm-hmm. And I think the goal for any smoker here is to stop, right? It's not hard to do. That's the thing. I promise you, you won't suffer switching to a vape from smoking cigarettes. You won't suffer. You might not like it as much for the first 1 to 2 weeks, but I promise you, if you get a somewhat decent setup, you won't be like jonesing or anything like that. And then once you get set up and used to the vaping setup that you have, then in a year, whatever, as long, you can actually work very easily. This is the best part about it. You can work super easily to get yourself off of vaping completely, because you can go down and cut the amount of nicotine as many times as you want to. So if you're starting on a 6 milligram or something like that, you can go and you can switch it to a 4 or a 3. And then from there, you can go to a 1.5 by mixing it directly with a 0 nicotine juice. And then the goal is eventually your mind and your body, you actually don't even know that you get off of the nicotine after a while, because you just keep switching to eventually a 0 nicotine solution. And you can do that, and then that is how you can 100% break it. So I've said this as someone who's quit smoking and someone who's quit vaping.
Multiple times.
Yeah, well, I quit vaping multiple times. I only quit smoking once. You can do it, for sure. All my smokers out there, you smell like shit. Bitches don't want to fuck you. They don't want to kiss you. You open your mouth, it smells so bad, and you never will know. You're just going to be like, man, I wonder if I really smell. You do. You smell like shit. Your apartment smells like shit. Your car smells like shit. And you look like shit, too. You need to fix that stuff immediately. Switch to vaping. Go ahead. Give it 2 weeks. If I'm wrong, after 2 weeks, I'll send you a dick pic. Okay? That's all I can do. Okay?
Damn,
give it a shot.
Daniel.
There you go. That's a good offer. So
That's a
good
good
luck.
way of saying you're not sending anything.
Funny, as always.
Got him.
Now tell them how to break their weed addiction down.
That's easy. If you want to break your weed addiction, I have the solution for you. So first thing you're going to need is some acid or some shrooms.
Hell yeah.
Okay? And you want to make sure that you have a lot of have your friends surprise you with horror masks and spooky music, and you want to make sure that there's someone that you really don't trust there talking about how you're going to die and you never really existed. So you want to go through this trip, and right when you're in the middle of it, make sure you start smoking pot. Okay? And then I promise you'll never be able to smoke pot again. That will break it for you. It will do it. You'll never be able to smoke pot ever again after that. I know, because this happened to me. Exactly like that, but without the skeletons and the Friday the 13th mask. But yeah, you won't die. You'll just never want to smoke pot again. So there you go. Wow, I feel like we're curing so many ailments. I wish I had the cure for alcoholism, but it's just so based. I don't know. You can't.
What's up, Dylan?
Not much. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Fine.
That's great. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.